Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm giving some quick algebra tips through these 5 questions. Remember, can you please like this video, share and also subscribe. Click the bell so you will know every time when we are releasing videos. So stay tuned. So here we are with question 1. Question 1 says x plus 1 equals to 4. And we are making x the subject of the formula. So you're leaving all the unknown variables on one side and all the numbers on the next side. In this question, the x is on the left, so I'm leaving it on the left already, right? So I'm leaving the x on the left side, and I'm bringing all the numbers to the right-hand side of the equation. So I'm bringing down the x. So I'm bringing down the x here. After I bring down the x, I would like all the numbers to be on the right-hand side of the equation. So I put back my equal sign. There is 4 already on the right-hand side, so I am putting back the 4. But I want this 1 to go across because remember, I want all the numbers to be on one side and all the x's on the other side to make x the subject of the formula, all right, or solving for x. So when I bring across the 1, if I bring the 1 across, the sign has to change. So the opposite of positive is negative. The opposite of multiply is divide, and vice versa, okay? So when I bring across the positive 1, when I bring across this positive 1 over here, it becomes negative 1. So we have 4 minus 1. So x is equals to 3. So this is the answer for question 1. Now question 2. Question 2 says 2x take away 3 is equals to 5. So again, we want all the x's on one side, all the numbers on the other side. But when we want all the x's on one side, we want x alone, right? In this question, we have 2x. Now, some students, they wonder if we have to move the 3 first, if we have to move the 2 first. What I tend to say is like you have a sandwich, right? And you want to get to the patty. But before you get to the patty, you have to move the bread and you have to move the lettuce and the tomatoes, right? So the x is like the patty. And the tomatoes and the bread are like the 2 and the 3, right? But the first thing you move from the sandwich is the bread. You cannot get to the tomatoes without moving the bread, right? So let's remove the bread first, right? So which is the 3, right? Another thing that I like to say is the 2 is attached to the x. If the 2 is attached to the x, you have to move the surroundings before you get to the x. The 2 is already attached. So you have to move everything around before you get to the x, which is attached to the 2. So what is around the 2x? The negative 3. So we have to move the negative 3 first. So you bring the negative 3 across the equal sign, okay? So let's do that. So this negative 3 goes on the other side. So I bring down the 2x because we want the x's to stay on one side, right? I bring back down my 5 because the 5 is staying on that side because it is on the correct side already. And this negative 3, I want to bring it across. So the opposite of negative is positive. So the negative 3 becomes positive 3. So we have 2x is equals to 5 plus 3, which is 8. Now the opposite of multiply is divide. Now we have 2x. 2x, it is understood that between this 2 and this x is a multiplication sign. Okay, so the opposite of multiply is divide. So x becomes 8 divided by 2. Remember, we are bringing the 2 across. We have to move the 2. The 2 is attached to the x, but we don't want 2x to be the subject of the formula. The question said to solve x, not 2x. So we have to move the 2, right? And we move the 2 last because the 2 was attached to the x, so we need to move the surroundings, right, which was the negative 3. And the opposite of multiply is divide. So when you move the 2, 2 goes across the equal sign and it becomes divide. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So for question 2, the answer is 4. All right, so let's head on to question 3 now. Question 3 says 1 minus x is equals to 7. I can show you 2 ways, but I'll just show you one this time, right? So we have 1 minus x is equals to 7. We want to make x the subject of the formula. So all the x's on one side and all the numbers on the other side of the equation. So we leave any x on the side it is on already. So we won't get confused because that is what we're doing all the time, okay? So we bring down the negative x. And we have the 7 on this side, so we put back the 7. Now remember, there's a 1 in front of the negative x. But we don't want the 1 on the left-hand side. We want the 1 on the right-hand side of the equation. And it is understood to be a positive 1. When there is no sign in front of a number, it is understood to be positive. So like when we were in primary school and we learned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's really positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, but of course we're not going to say the positive sign positive all the time, right? Okay, so it's understood to be a positive 1. So when you bring across right? When you bring this 1 across here, it becomes a -1. So now let us do that. So we have negative x, sorry about that. We have negative x is equals to 7 minus 1, which is negative x is equals to 7 minus 1 is 6. Now, the question said to find x. Now, if they say to find x and there's no sign in front of the x, again, it is understood to be positive, just like the numbers. When there's no sign in front of the numbers, it is understood to be positive. When there's no sign in front of the x, it is understood to be positive. So we have to find positive x and not negative x. And what do we have here? Minus x. So we need to remove that minus sign. So just like when you have a variable, an unknown variable, if you have a, b, x, y, it is understood that there is a 1 in front. It's understood to be 1a, right? It cannot be 0a. 0a means there is no a. So there must be a 1 in front of the a. So just like the minus x, it is understood to be minus 1x. Okay? So let me put that in a different color. Good. It is understood to be minus 1x. But we don't want minus 1x. We want x. So we are going to bring down that x. We're going to bring down this x is equals to 6. And we need to do something about this minus 1. Again, minus 1x, it is understood that between here is a multiplication sign. And the opposite of multiplication is divide. So we'll end up with x. Oops, sorry about that. Right, so we will end up with x, bring down the x, so we have x is equals to 6 divided by minus 1. X is equals to minus 6. Now there is an alternative method which is shorter and a lot easier, but sometimes when you teach like one method, sometimes students tend to not get as confused as if you teach two methods. So I'm going to do some more videos on algebra, so the alternative method will be shown in another video. Okay, coming soon. All right, so that's question 3. So now let's clear the screen for question 4. Question 4 says y minus 2x is equals to 8. And we have to make x the subject of the formula. So leaving all the x's on one side and everything else goes on the other side of the equation. So we know that that y has to move, and we know that that 2 has to move so we can reach to the x. And again, we cannot move the negative 2 first. Now it's just not just 2, it's negative 2, right? It's a negative 2, it's not just a plain 2. So we know that that negative 2 has to move and the y has to move. But how do we know which one to move first? Remember, the 2 is attached to the x. So you have to move everything around the x to reach to the x, right? So you have to move everything around. When you come closer, you'll get the negative 2x, right? And then you move the negative 2x to reach to the x. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to move the y first. So that's negative 2x. We bring down the negative 2x is equals to, remember again, there is no sign in front of the y, so it is understood to be positive y. So when you bring a positive y across, it becomes negative y, right? So let's do that. Bring down your 8, of course, right? Because the 8 was already on the right-hand side. Are we bringing the y across on the right-hand side also? So you'll get negative y. Now, again, we don't want negative 2x to be the subject of the formula. We are not to solve for negative 2x. We are to solve for x. So we have to remove that negative 2. Now, again, between the negative 2 and the x, it is understood to be multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is to divide. So we bring down your x is equals to, well, 8 minus y. And the opposite of multiply is divide. So everything has to be divided by the negative 2. Right? Number 5 says 2y take away 2x is equals to 15. Now, clearly, I deliberately put a lot of negative signs in these questions because that is what I was really tackling for these algebraic expressions. Well, these algebraic equations, right? Expressions have no equal signs while equations do, okay? So these are equations. So we have 2y minus 2x is equals to 15, and we are to solve for x. So again, leaving all the x's on one side, all the numbers on the other side, right? We have 2y minus 2x is equals to 15. So obviously we have to move everything that is all out. So obviously we have to move the 2y first. So we'll end up with 2x is equals to 15. Take away 2y. it is understood that this is a positive. So when it goes across, it becomes negative. Um, and then x is equals to 15, take away 2y, and the opposite of this here is understood to be multiply. The opposite of multiply is to divide. So therefore x, sorry about that. So therefore x is equals to 15, take away 2y all over negative 2. Okay, I will be releasing some more tutorials on algebra and some other topics. Okay, so thank you for watching. Bye.